My ex texted, "You'll never see the kids again." I replied, "Already handled." Then I revealed my private investigator had documented her and her new boyfriend's criminal record. Her lawyer called within hours, begging to work something out. I, 38 male, got the text that every separated parent has nightmares about. The one that makes your blood run cold and your vision go narrow. It was from my ex, Jennifer, and it consisted of 7 words that were meant to break me. "You'll never see the kids again." We'd been separated for 6 months. It was, I thought, mostly amicable. The cliché of growing apart was, for once, true. We were 2 people who had built a life and then realized we were living in separate wings of it. The plan was simple. Sell the house we'd shared for a decade, split the equity, and move on to a 50-50 custody arrangement for our kids. Elizabeth, 8, and David, 6. The first crack in the facade appeared 3 months ago. A neighbor, a kind older woman, mentioned seeing a man's truck parked in our driveway overnight whenever I was away for work. She thought I should know. I thanked her, my face a polite mask, while inside a switch flipped. It wasn't anger, not at first. It was a cold, quiet clarity, the kind you get when you realize you've been reading a book upside down. I didn't confront her. What was the point? It wouldn't be a conversation. It would be a performance. Tears from her, feigned indignation, accusations of me being controlling. I knew the script. I just wasn't interested in playing my part. Instead, I made a phone call. Not to a friend, not to my parents. I called a private investigator, a discreet firm that specialized in family law matters. I explained the situation calmly. I wanted to know who this man was. I needed to know if he was around my children. I wanted everything documented, dates, times, photographs, especially photographs. His name was Robert. The PI's preliminary report came back within a week, and that's when the second crack appeared, this one a TASM. Robert wasn't just some new boyfriend. Robert had a record. 2 DUIs, a charge for petty theft from his early 20s, and an assault charge that was pleaded down to disorderly conduct. He was, on paper, a mess. And he had been sleeping in my house, eating at my dinner table, and, the report confirmed with a soul-crushing photograph, playing catch with my son in the backyard. Still, I waited. I let her think she was in control. We had our real estate agent list the house, we discussed staging, we talked about the kids' upcoming school year. All the while, the PI's file on my desk grew thicker. The trigger was the offer on the house. A good one, over asking. It meant things were about to get real. I sent her a polite email suggesting we meet with our lawyers to finalize the 50-50 split we'd discussed. She called me an hour later, her voice tight. "What's this about lawyers?" she asked. "It's just the next step, Jennifer," I said calmly. "They'll need to draft the formal agreements for the house sale and the custody arrangement. And they'll want a list of assets, won't they? You're gonna sit there and nickel and dime me over furniture?" The panic in her voice was unmistakable. She had already moved a number of big-ticket items to her new place. "It's just procedure," I said, my voice maddeningly even. "They just need to account for everything to ensure the split is fair." Her response was a choked sound, and then she hung up. I knew I had cornered her, not by accusing, but by simply following the rules. 2 hours later, my phone buzzed with the text. The one designed to be her ultimate trump card. "You'll never see the kids again." My thumbs hovered over the screen. All the pain of the last few months, the quiet betrayal, the violation of my home, it didn't erupt, it coalesced, it became fuel. I texted back, "Already handled." Then, I opened my email. I attached the PI's preliminary report, just the summary page with Robert's full name, date of birth, and the list of his criminal charges. I sent it to her, with a CC to her lawyer, whose contact information I had from the house sale paperwork. The subject line was simple: custody of Elizabeth and David. The body of the email was even simpler. "I believe this information will be pertinent to any custody discussions moving forward. I will be seeking temporary sole custody until this can be resolved. My lawyer will be in touch." I didn't have to wait for my lawyer. Her lawyer called me directly within 3 hours. He sounded flustered. "Michael," he said, his voice strained, "I think we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. My client is very emotional. I'm sure we can work something out." I let the silence hang for a moment before I replied, "I'm sure we can." Update. After that initial, flustered call from Jennifer's lawyer, I informed him that all future communication must go through my attorney. He'd tried one last direct appeal, but I held firm. The frantic energy was their problem, not mine. Jennifer, however, doesn't respect boundaries. The text started an hour later. A barrage of them. "How could you do this to me? You're trying to ruin my life. Robert is a good person. Those things were years ago. You're a monster. The kids are asking for me. They need me." I read them, each one a small confirmation that I had done the right thing. This wasn't the behavior of a rational co-parent. It was the frantic thrashing of someone whose narrative had been punctured. I didn't reply. I just forwarded screenshots to my lawyer. Then came the voicemails. Robert's was first. It was a masterpiece of veiled intimidation, the kind of talk that's hard to prosecute but easy to understand. "Listen," his voice began, slick and low. "I heard what you're trying to pull. You need to be careful. People who poke their noses into other people's pasts can find themselves in some real trouble. It would be a shame if something unfortunate were to derail this nice, quiet life you've got." I saved the audio file, labeled it Robert Viled Threat 1. Sent it to my lawyer. Jennifer's voicemails were different. They cycled through rage, tears, and pleading. In one, she was sobbing. "You've taken my babies from me, Michael. I hate you. I hate you." In the next, she was saccharine sweet. "Honey, please, let's just talk. Just you and me, we can fix this." It was exhausting, but it was also clarifying. I was the villain in her story because I refused to be the victim in mine. The hardest part was the quiet. After dropping the kids at my parents' for the weekend to shield them from this, my small apartment felt cavernous. I walked past the spare room, their room, and saw the Legos waiting on the floor and Elizabeth's drawing of our family, a smiling stick figure, me, her, and David, taped to the wall. That's when the cold resolve cracked, just for a moment. A wave of profound sadness washed over me. This wasn't a game. This was a rescue mission. The pain was a compass needle, and it was pointing me forward. On Monday morning, my lawyer and I had a conference call. He was all business. We filed an emergency motion for temporary sole custody, citing the PI report and Robert's voicemail as evidence of an unstable and potentially unsafe environment for the children. Then I moved on to the other, smaller betrayals. I opened a spreadsheet and found the receipts in my email archives for the sound system, the 65-inch television, the espresso machine. Total value, $4,350. I sent the list to my lawyer. He added a petition for accounting and recovery of marital assets to our family court filing. It was a formal, legal demand for the return of the items or full compensation from her share of the house proceeds. No muss, no fuss, just paperwork. I changed the passwords to my Spotify, Netflix, and Amazon Prime accounts. A small, digital eviction. The final piece for the week was the house. I emailed our real estate agent. "Just to keep you informed, Jennifer's partner, Robert, has been residing at the property. I've also noticed some damage, deep scuffs on the new hardwood and a grease stain on the living room rug that wasn't there before. I trust this will be properly documented for the closing." It was all quiet, all methodical. Every action was a simple, logical consequence of their own choices. They had pushed. I was just letting the system push back. Update. The blowback from Jennifer and Robert was immediate, but not in the way they intended. They started a whisper campaign. Friends, our mutual friends, started calling. "Hey man, I heard you and Jennifer are having a rough time. She said you kind of..." snapped. My response was always the same, calm, brief, and factual. I discovered her new boyfriend, a man with a criminal record, was secretly living in the house with our kids. My only priority is making sure Elizabeth and David are in a safe environment. My lawyer is handling the rest. I didn't need to embellish. The phrase criminal record did all the heavy lifting. The tone of the calls shifted immediately from sympathetic to Jennifer to concerned for me. The official notices started landing. My lawyer informed me that Jennifer had been served. She was legally required to have no contact with me and could only see the children during supervised visits at a court-approved center. The family court petition, including the list of missing assets, arrived at her new address. Then, my real estate agent sent me an email, CCing my lawyer. It read in part, "Following up on your concerns, we conducted a walkthrough. We have formally notified Jennifer that having an unauthorized occupant is a breach of our signed listing agreement. We also informed her that the documented damages will have to be remedied, or they will jeopardize any potential purchase agreement. Her response was uncooperative and verbally hostile, and as a result, our brokerage will now only communicate with her via email. Their emotional, chaotic outbursts were just creating a longer paper trail. Their lack of self-awareness was my greatest asset. The inevitable confrontation happened on a Friday afternoon. My car was in the shop, so I was walking home. A car screeched to a halt beside me. It was Jennifer's. Robert was in the passenger seat, staring at me with a pathetic, tough guy glare. Jennifer got out, her face blotchy and furious. "What is your problem?" she hissed, keeping her voice low. "You're enjoying this, aren't you? Humiliating me?" "I'm not doing anything, Jennifer," I said, not breaking my stride. "These are the consequences of your choices." "My choices? What about Robert's choices from 10 years ago? You're using that to steal my children." "His choices left a threatening voicemail on my phone 2 weeks ago, Jennifer. That's not ancient history." She actually scoffed. "Oh, please, he was just angry. You're being so dramatic. Now I have a court filing about a stupid TV? A TV we watched together? A TV I paid for." I corrected her gently. "And for which my lawyer has requested an accounting. Return the items and I'll have him strike that petition. Simple." "I can't believe you," she said, her voice rising. "After everything we had, you're doing this while you poison my children against me." Robert leaned out the window then. "Yeah, back off, man. You're crossing a line." I just looked at him. Really looked at him. He was wearing a faded band t-shirt and had a weak chin. This was the man she had risked everything for. This was the man who left his muddy Adidas sneakers on my rug. "The only line that's been crossed," I said, looking back at Jennifer, "was when you decided a man like him was more important than the safety of our kids. Everything happening now is just the paperwork catching up." I turned and continued walking home. I didn't look back. That night, I got an email from my PI with the final comprehensive report. It turned out Robert's past wasn't just in the past. He'd been evicted from his last 2 apartments for non-payment of rent and currently had no verifiable employment. He wasn't just a risk, he was a parasite. And I had the documentation to prove it. Final update. The end wasn't a dramatic courtroom showdown. There was no gavel slam, no tearful confession from Jennifer on the witness stand. It ended the way these things usually do, with a settlement agreement negotiated by overworked lawyers in a sterile conference room. My leverage was absolute. The PI's complete file, Robert's criminal history, his rental and employment history, his veiled threat, Jennifer's frantic texts, the formal complaint from the real estate brokerage, painted a picture that no family court judge would ignore. Her lawyer knew it. She knew it. The final agreement was ironclad. I was granted primary physical and legal custody of Elizabeth and David. Jennifer was given visitation every other weekend, with the explicit stipulation that the visits must be supervised for the first year. A morality clause was included, stating that Robert was not to be present during any of her time with the children, supervised or not. The house sold. From her half of the proceeds, a check for $4,350 was cut directly to me to satisfy the petition for the assets. Another $2,850 was deducted and paid to a contractor to repair the floors and replace the ruined rug. She fought it, of course, but in the end, she had no choice. It was either agree or let a judge decide. And we all knew how that would go. The fallout for them was, from what I've heard, quiet and total. Their relationship, built on a foundation of deceit and poor impulse control, crumbled under the weight of legal fees, financial strain, and social isolation. Our mutual friends had all sided with me. Not because I asked them to, but because Jennifer and Robert's narrative made no sense. They sounded unhinged, while I just sounded like a worried father. A friend told me a few months ago that Robert was gone. He'd packed his truck in the middle of the night and left. Jennifer, apparently, had told people he couldn't handle the stress I had put them under. She and I don't speak. We communicate through a co-parenting app for scheduling her visits. Her messages are clipped, bitter. She has never once admitted fault. In her version of events, she is the eternal victim, and I am the calculating villain who stole her perfect life. It's better that way. Her acceptance was never the goal. The safety and stability of my children was, and they are thriving. Elizabeth is excelling in her art class, and David has scored 3 goals in his soccer league. Our new house is smaller than the old one, but it's filled with laughter. There's no tension, no secrets. Just us. Sometimes, late at night after the kids are asleep, I'll think about that first text. You'll never see the kids again. It was meant to be a kill shot, a threat designed to shatter my world. But all it did was show me exactly what I had to protect them from. My response wasn't about revenge. It was about restoration. I didn't burn her life down. I just stood back and handed her the matches she'd been playing with the entire time. And I let the consequences do the rest.